Okay, so there I was trying for the third time to do this subject matter justice, my loyal subscribers baying for blood, when I thought, bugger this for a game of soldiers, what would Yahtzee do? So, lacking both Cheap Hooch and Guitar Hero, I elected to reminisce with a little excursion through Aperture Science, and, round about the time the weighted companion cube and I parted ways, I thought the sooner I finish polishing this turd, the sooner I can get stuck into the mountain of creationist hilarity filling my inbox. This all kicked off round about a month ago, during one of the many intellectual exchanges between a jolly good chum and I, himself the epitome of awesome. QuadError, you perfectionist son of a bitch, he said, and with good reason. Arrange these 4 alleged hominids according to their ability to engender sheer bladder-relaxing horror. So here's my angle. On the Douglas Adams-esque, mostly harmless end of the spectrum lie Frank's voice and Jesus Freak 777 respectively. Pun intended, because Frank would be more dangerous if he could only master polysyllabicisms, and Freak, while capable of indoctrinating his children and proudly showing it off, seems to reserve most of his ire for Barack Obama and GTA 4. Nephilim Free, on the other hand, is guaranteed an incontrovertible number 1 position thanks to pointing guns at the camera, actively choosing to appear as a giant floating head in the darkness, and crying while he tells you he loves you. As Sir Michael Caine once said in a dangerously girly movie, you can't beat that. This leaves the Geerup VenomFangX homogenate in the unenviable position of being the scariest creationist on YouTube with whom I feel I could interact without needing a day pass to a room with rubber wallpaper. I say could because he banned me, which, on the downside, means I can't communicate with him anymore. On the upside, however, it means I can't communicate with him anymore. Jesus Christ, this was a long time coming. Anyway, AlphaGo Bad initiated the thread in question with the following statement. Hundreds of thousands of scientists could not do their job without using evolution and genetics as the framework. Without the things we've learned from studying evolution, there would be no medical advances. Suffice to say, Geerup wasn't having any of it. Evolution has nothing to do with medical advances. The mutation and adaptations we see in diseases are predicted in the creation model as well, which states that all life is created in such a way that it is able to adapt and mutate within strict limitations. Show me one example of a virus mutating into something that is not a virus, evolution, you won't find any. Evolution has no practical application. There's a creation model? I wasn't even aware they'd made a tenable hypothesis yet, and his request for a virus mutating into something else is just a miniaturization of the legendary crocoduck. Clearly Arnie's never heard of Drosophila genetics. Without common ancestry, genetic model systems just couldn't happen. You see, when we don't understand what some gene contributes, and we think we can turn a few bob figuring it out, we screw around with model organisms so we don't have to royally bugger up human lives to experiment. Drosophila's my favourite model organism. We've changed its eye colour, we've made it hairier, balder, blinder, bigger, smaller, grown eyes on its legs and grown legs on its eyes. Hell, half the names of genes are from games, German insults or Star Trek, all in the name of comparative genetics. And all this biological tomfoolery means we know an awful lot more about human genetic disorders, developmental maladies, cancer, biochemical pathways, but Geerup simply doesn't care. That's not evolution, since God created all life with the ability to adapt without changing its basic kind. When a human becomes resistant to a certain bacteria, for instance, we do not claim we have evolved, we are still humans. This is all part of the propaganda. Oh, for pity's sake, man, if you project any harder, Commissioner Gordon could use you to book his appointments. Who in their right mind honestly thinks the immune system is akin to evolving? This kind of cerebral crapulence is a prime example of the idiocy Geerup keeps handing out in spades. It's like it's Halloween every day, except it's him giving out the sweeties and the sweeties are bollocks. Also, my evidence is not evidence. Hold that thought. I reminded him he hadn't addressed my proposal of model systems and asked for evidence of his own position. What you say is evidence for common ancestry, I claim is evidence for a common designer. We model systems based on living things, and similarities exist. For example, many land-based animals have eyeballs, so that we can... Anyone else see what he did there? Evidence provided by me is not evidence, but when the same stuff is provided by him, it is. That dog won't hunt, monsieur. I wasn't talking about organs either, I was talking about genetics and phylogeny. Same genes, same designer has been kicked in the head a million times. If homology didn't support common ancestry, we wouldn't be able to perform parental DNA screens for crying out loud. Why then are there Drosophila icoset genes involved with human placental control? You'll find your answer if you ask why do Hondas and Ferraris both use rubber tyres. For the love of your God, man, apostrophes aren't that hard. People then started leaping out of the woodwork to remind him that cars don't breed. It was all downhill from there as he made all the classic bloopers. He wouldn't or couldn't define the word kind. He said the genetic code was digital when, if you want to be pedantic, it's base 4, and an LX system if you're talking about Mendelian genetics. Then he profoundly misunderstood a rhetorical question. I couldn't make this stuff up. I've heard more well thought out rebuttals from my niece's age 6 6 and 8 respectively. At least when they get upset, they don't start censoring people left, right and centre. So it's time for my final thought. For years I've perused YouTube from the shadows, and neither Geerup nor VenomFangX escape my roving gaze. I've seen the intellectual flatulence that these peddlers of existential pablum push upon their poorly educated masses by misrepresenting data like this, and, as my jolly good chum put it, he's shitting in my backyard. So this is for you, Geerup and or VenomFangX. You don't know what you're talking about, you're ruining the minds of innocent people, and you're what's wrong with the world today. Stop hurting science.